4 links welded in. Seems to be working solid, honestly. It's on level right now because the differential's not centered, so when I jacked it up. But yeah, got all the bars welded in, upper and lowers, got the bolts and whatnot in. This one came just a hair close. It does clear, but it got real close. On these 22s, I mean, for the cab to touch the ground, the 22s, should have no issue laying out body on the 22s. I don't plan to run 22s. These are just rollers because I had to loan out the stocks. But it's just good to know. But yeah, we got that all welded out. We're working on the bag mounts here, so I'll drop this down. Pinion angle at ride height is still at 0. Like, it's doing good and everything, so that's all a plus. But on terms of bag mounts, so this is what I came up with so far. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build this rear cross member. I don't know if I'll 45 necessarily because I want to hug it, because I really want the bags to be as far outwards just for stability wise and lifting purposes and stuff. So I don't want to come straight. I might do like a 25 or 30 degree or something like that. Come out slightly, shoot across, and then angle back in the corner. Do the bag mounts on the outside here. And then I might take a support rod from, like, say this bottom bolt, take like a piece of flat stock, and then run a support rod up to the bottom of that. Just because I want it to be as structurally sound as possible. It's got to be holding the service bed and whatnot. But we got this square channel that I just chopped the face off of, and I grinded it and fitted it to where this is 90, this face here is 90 with the floor, and then you put the gauge on the top and it's level with the floor and axle tube. And then I tacked it in. I made gussets. I gusseted the bottoms to try to help disperse the load whenever it pulls on it. I have all the plates cut out, like 4 by 3 inch plates with 4 holes that I got. They're getting drilled out. I have them cut out. I already have them marked. I just got to get the drill and drill them out. 3/8 hole. We'll do 4 3/8 bolts, and then we'll just tack on some square tubing and come out, go around and do the cross member and removable. These upper bag mounts, I'm thinking I'm probably going to end up doing them inverted like this and put this lower face level with, say, almost the bottom of the notch. Haven't decided. It'll be far enough out that it won't be interfering with the axle. So that's kind of the plan. I want to do a flipped upside down so I have plenty of clearance to the floor wise and fittings and whatnot. I don't want to do it like this. And then I could also add in gussets to this face. And then lower mount wise, I don't know which ones I'm going to use. I might chop these cups up that I'd gotten with the bags for the front that obviously I'm not going to use. I don't know which ones I'm going to use, but you know, we're going to have to weld these into the cross member, but they're fitted for like your 4-link bars or your trailing bar, trailing arms, whatever. So I might fit these to the square tubing, just notch this out and fit it on there, or I might just take these cups, I might chop it, and that way that these fit down on their hug and I can weld up the faces here, across, and everything, and I can get a real good securement on that lower bracket. So we're just gonna see. I gotta get these plates drilled, get them tacked up in place, and then I gotta start cutting my angles, figure out which route I'm gonna go there. But yep, 4 links welded in. With this axle almost completely bottomed out, it's like less than a 1/2 inch from bottomed out in here. The drive shaft touches that cross member. So theoretically, like if I was to lay out on 22s, I might need to trim that a little bit more. I might need to add a 1x brace over the top, just to hump over the top there to help support it. I got this all welded in. I still got to gusset these. But, yep, just working on the bag mounts for the rear right now. And I got some smaller tires laid in the front because it was laying on the firewall. So I swapped those tires out. But yep, that's where we're at. Let's get these plates drilled and whatnot, and then start figuring up this cross member. Well, about 3 months later, working on it off and on and everything, we got it. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to use my airlift system on here. I'm gonna get this aired up. I'm gonna drag it in the shop. We're gonna go over this ordeal that has taken me a lot longer than it should have, but here we are. So yeah, let me get this drug in the shop and we'll go over this. All right, now that we got this in the shop, like I said, it's been 3 months. I've had some out of town car shows, taking some trips. The business been swamped, booked out like 2 months right now, getting the boat ready, got it up for sale, you know, customer jobs everywhere. Had 9 vehicles here the other day. Like, it's been a nightmare, but here we are. We got, it's aired out in the rear. It's aired up like almost all the way in the front. So we still haven't done the channel here on the frame. So when I air out, it's still sitting on the frame. I already got the C channel and everything out there, or the channel to do the frame rails. This is what we came up with. It's on it level. My shop floors are sloped for the drainage, so it may not look perfectly level in the video, but I promise you everything's true and everything. So ended up making this cross member. As you can see, we got these plates here, 3/8 bolts. It's mismatched hardware and stuff right now, but locking nuts. And so it comes out here. I'm gonna build plates for this. I'm gonna probably put a gusset there, gusset on top. Still probably gonna do a support here. We're gonna see how much this flexes and it's sturdy, whatnot. But I still gotta plate all this stuff off, gusset, still gotta gusset up there. But, so we brought this cross member, wrapped it around over here. Same thing over here, and plate this up, get removable bolts and everything. I originally wanted to flip these upside down, and that way the fittings were lower than this, but then I thought about it when I make the floor. I'm gonna make pedestals and do nut certs or weld a nut onto the bottom of the pedestals so I can do a bed cover. And then like if I need to service or work on anything, I can just zip all my bolts out and pull the whole bed plate up. So these fittings, when I do 90s here, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be lower than this. And then whenever I was figuring out lift, with these flipped over, the bag compression wasn't gonna give me enough. So you can see over here, I'm almost maxed out on my notch. And I'm almost touching the ground here with my rear frame. So if I would have flipped these upside down, I would not have been able to get that much drop in the rear. Granted, the front is aired up. So like if I drop the front, this is gonna raise the rear. It's gonna sit on the frame. But I wanted to be able to utilize as much of the notch as possible if need be. So like if I ran 22s and a bigger tire to get a little more mile an hour out of this rear end and stuff like that, I didn't want to be fully welded out, bottomed out in the notch and be like, I need to go lower. So I flipped these upside down so I can get full travel. And I mean, they still got a little compression left in them, but it's sitting on the drive shaft right now. So, and I could always switch over to a different bag, to like a Air Max bag or something like that. But we got that. I measured these notches from backing plate to backing plate. I stretched it out a little bit because naturally the frame's got a little twist in it, and whenever it's relaxed and you cut the cross member out and stuff, it's gonna flex. So I trued these up, used ratchet straps to the wheels, and I pulled each notch outwards until it was true to the backing plate, same distance. And then I mocked up this cross member, tacked it into place, and I put my angle gauge in the center, made sure left to right. And then whenever I put these plates on, I put the angle gauge this way to make sure it was equal with the notch and the frame rail. And I set it all at ride height, welded it out to where the bags were about halfway extended at ride height, so I could still have plenty of lift and plenty of compression to be able to air out. That's, at least this is what works in my head, at least. And then I've done full articulation on it and everything, flexing left to right. I've actually been driving it around the yard and stuff like that, but I need to cut the rest of these parking brake cables out. I already stripped it all out of the frame, and then I cut these perches off, and I'll redo these brake lines, and I'll end up running shocks from this mount right here, and I'll probably make get either a riser or a stud welded in there and put shocks in the rear like that. But yeah, that is that's where it's at. I'll prop my phone up in a second. We'll get a video of it raising, but it ain't too bad. Let me get y'all set up, and I'll do a video raising it up and everything, and then I'll air the front out and kind of see how it's all laying right now and give you an idea. But it seems like this is gonna work pretty good. Not even having the bed on there, I can jump on it, bounce on it and everything, and this does not flex at all. Like, it's solid, and it's still not even gusseted yet. So let me get y'all set up, and then we'll air it up and air it down a couple times. Alright, we're gonna throw the airline on it. I'm gonna use the regulator on the compressor to run it up and down. So that right there is like roughly 90 psi. Got a decent amount of lift to it. I mean, we're almost at the very bottom of the notch. So I haven't measured how much total lift that is there, but the solid mount, bar angles, pinion angle, and everything will look good. I might need to give it a little bit more negative adjustment on the snout for the pinion angle. That's all got to be finished after I do the raised engine and trans mounts and all that stuff. But we'll drop it down real quick and right there, it's sitting on the drive shaft. So I may, at some point, like I've said earlier, have to do something about this. I might have to do a riser on this and jump over it and cut more of this out. That's all to be determined. It's my first rodeo. Not my first rodeo, but the first time doing this at least. So I've never done a 4-link. It's all trial and error. But yeah, right now it's sitting on the drive shaft, and you can see we got probably about a ½ inch, 5/8 of an inch more on the notch to go down. Now, I'll go up here to the front, we'll get it set up, and I'll air the front out, and we'll watch the back rise, and it'll get it set down on this frame rail. So, we'll go over here, drop the front. You're gonna watch it, it's gonna sit down on that frame rail that's hanging down below the cab, and it'll pick the rear end up. Maybe, just take it through. It's going. I just got it dumping through a tire gauge here, inflator, whatever. But you can see aired out in the front. This will drop down a little bit more once it settles, but you can see right there we got our 4 inches of frame rail that hangs below the pinch weld left to chop out. I don't even know if this is gonna pick it up, but yeah, there we go, we see. So it is just simply sitting on this drop down horn in the frame rail. So what we're gonna do is we're going to chop. I got a piece of square channel. I forget if it's like 3x4 or something like that. And basically we're gonna chop the frame out straight along here, all the way up to the front. And then we're gonna put that channel in there. And then we're basically going to weld it all out, and it'll be just above this pinch weld. It'll be full channeled right here, and it'll get this drop out. So then the lowest point theoretically will be this pinch weld. We're gonna pretty this stuff up eventually, but I'm still on the fence. I don't know if I'm gonna have to Z. I know I either got a pancake, and I might get away with pancake, or I'm gonna have to Z and pancake. I'm playing a game here because with my transmission cross member, I got a high hoop transmission cross member, and with me chopping this frame out, I'm gonna have to chop up that cross member. I'm gonna have to make new pedestals and everything, and it's gonna be a lot of fingering out. But it's ideally, what I'm thinking here is I'm going to weld tabs on the inside of the frame and chop the cross member shorter. That way I don't have cross member hanging down. I don't have bolts, the mounting bolts, how they'll go through the frame factory. I don't want bolts hanging down lower on the frame, because when we did it on Tyler's truck, now those cross member bolts are what's the lowest point on the frame rail, and it's grinding them down. So it's all going to be trial and error. Don't really know yet. Right now where this is at, I need to weld out this cross member for where this carrier bearing goes. I did the drop down in the carrier bearing. I cut all that out, and then I plated right here along the top side. I plated this whole bottom of this cross member, drilled it, and mounted this carrier to that plate now, so it's raised and in the frame rail instead of being dropped down with that like 4-inch, 5-inch block. And so I need to weld this out just a little bit, and then I might mock up, airing this up, and then run it up and down the road and everything, make sure it feels good. But then the big step now is going to be chopping that frame rail and stuff out. And I first off was gonna be like, I don't want to pull the motor and trans, and I'm just gonna try to do it without that. It'd be ideal to pull the cab off too, but looking at the cab bolts, the mounts and everything, I don't want to pull the interior. I don't want to try to do those cab bolts, because I'm just gonna go down a whole nother rabbit hole that I don't want to take on right now. Maybe later on, but I think I pull motor and trans, I can block up this whole frame and everything, and I can just get my torch or bring home the plasma cutter, and I can just zip it, slide my rail in there, weld it all out, and then I can slip the engine and trans back in and start mocking it up. I got the new frame rail right here. You can see, I think it's like 3x4 or something like that. I ordered a full stick. I bought half of it, and he's got the other half sitting there if I end up needing to go back. I think that was like $100, $120. He does really good prices, so I wasn't complaining. But yeah, I always got to do a fuel cell. So this brand new fuel tank that I put on, it's got to go. Didn't originally plan on having the body lay out, so I just put a new fuel tank in the stock location, but that's obviously not gonna work. So, but yeah, there we are. That's where we're at. That's the update on here. It's got some big work still to go, but I know the front's on air, the rear's on air. It all goes up and down. Setting the 4-link bars and whatnot. Now it's just in-depth grinding, cutting, welding. Grinding, cutting, welding. I will, now that this is at least all mocked up and everything, like I said, I got to cut these perches off and stuff. I bought a bunch of wire wheels. I'm going to hit this frame, hit all these welds and brackets and stuff that are all raw and you can see starting to rust up. I'm going to hit them down with wire wheels. I'm going to get it all sprayed in primer like this just to keep it protected for now. I'll end up going and coating the whole frame and everything, but I don't want to have to grind it down to do welds here and there and stuff. So weld through primer, wonders, worth it. But yeah, there's that. So I know it took 3 months to get to this point, but in this world you got to make money, and that's what I've been doing. But we'll wrap this up. Like I said, I got to do a little bit more welding and gussets and stuff, and then we're going to start chopping that frame out and pulling the motor and trans. So that will all be the next video, hopefully, ideally. Never know. So appreciate everybody in the comments. I see people checking in, asking for updates and stuff. So I do have an Instagram account where I post a lot of updates on this. I'll put it in the comments. But until then, I appreciate everybody, and let's keep slamming this thing.